There are stories you hear once and they never leave your heart. Stories that teach us that life is more than beauty, more than wealth, more than pride. This is the story of Urenna, the woman who rejected too many husbands. It began after choir rehearsal. Urenna's voice that evening was like honey. Michael, a newcomer, approached her nervously. "Excuse me, sister. I am new here. I just want to say I love the way you sing." "All glory goes to God," she replied quickly. "Wait, what's your name?" "Ure for short," and she walked away. Ashley, her closest friend, smiled. "Who was that?" "Just a new brother." Hmm, that's how it starts. "Please, Ashley, let me be. I don't have time for nonsense. People should focus on God." That was Urenna, elegant, admired, but proud. She walked like a queen, spoke like a princess, and treated men like dust beneath her feet. Soon, suitors began to come. Her parents called her one evening. "Ure, some family friends came to ask for your hand." But she waved it aside. "I am not interested. I want to further my education." A week later, the son of a respected deacon traveled down just to see her. He came with gifts, his words respectful. "My father said you will make a wonderful wife. I came to ask for your hand." Urenna hissed. "Mama, am I the only woman in this town? Please let me be." Her mother's heart ached. She sat back and shook her head slowly. "My daughter, marriage will not stop you from achieving your dreams. Don't wait too long. Remember the proverb, the girl who refuses kola nuts when her teeth are strong will look for them when her teeth are weak." But Urenna's ears were deaf. The church had become Urenna's second home. Every month without fail, she bought her pastor new suits, fine shoes, and even perfumes. She would kneel before him with a smile. "Daddy, please pray for my marital doors to open." The pastor, impressed by her generosity, laid his hands on her head. "My daughter, keep sowing seeds. The bigger your sacrifice, the faster your husband will appear. God cannot ignore such faith." Urenna believed him. When her first salary came, she didn't take it home to her father for blessings, as was custom. Instead, she ran straight to church. Before the entire congregation, she knelt proudly at the altar. "Church, praise the Lord. This is my first fruit. I drop it here as a seed for my marriage." The congregation clapped loudly. The pastor smiled broadly. But that night, at home, her father sat silently in their sitting room. His face was clouded with sorrow as he said quietly, "The blessing of a father is greater than the applause of a crowd." But his words fell like rain on stone. They never sank into Rena's heart. Time began to pass. Soon, other young women in church and even the neighborhood started getting married, one after the other. Invitations flooded Urenna's mother, who would return home with heavy eyes. She sighed deeply one evening. "My daughter, look around you. Almost all the young women of your age are now in their husbands' homes. Every month we attend weddings, yet none for you. Do you not think it is time to pray differently?" But Urenna brushed it off. "Mama, leave it to God. I am waiting for my kind of man." Even Ashley grew restless. One afternoon after service, she held Urenna's hand gently and whispered, "Nne, I don't know if God has abandoned us. Look, almost all the young women around are married, and they are doing well in their husbands' houses. Sometimes I wonder if we are on the right track." Oh. Urenna squeezed her friend's hand with a forced smile. "Ashley, don't speak like that. Our own time will come." But when she lay on her bed that night, staring at the ceiling, Her heart quivered. For the first time, doubt began to creep into her once unshaken confidence. Urenna was dazzling, an hourglass figure, glowing skin, the type of beauty that made heads turn. But she had her own standard. When I see my kind of man, I will know, she told Ashley. But life does not wait forever. She landed a job in a multinational company. During Thanksgiving, she danced and shouted, "Praise the Lord! God has given me a great job." People clapped, but in her heart, she thought, "Now, my dream husband will notice me." In the office, she carried herself like royalty. When a colleague admired her, she snapped, "Don't try that again. Do you think because we work in the same office, we are in the same class?" Her colleagues whispered, "This one is too proud." Ashley later visited her. "Babe, I am getting married." Urenna forced a smile. "Good for you. Me, I'm waiting for my kind of man. When I see him, I will know." But Urenna, don't you think you are taking this thing too far? Everyone thought you would have married before me. I just hope you know what you are doing. Time doesn't wait for anyone. Me, I've said my own. Oh. What other people will not tell you, me as your friend and sister will. Just think about it. But that night, she cried quietly. Every opportunity in church, Urenna grabbed it. "Church, praise the Lord. God just blessed me with a new car." She sang special numbers with passion, her voice filling the room, her eyes scanning the congregation. But whispers grew louder. Is she worshiping God or advertising herself? Indeed, her car drew attention. Men swarmed around her, but they were not after her heart. They borrowed her car, emptied her wallet, and disappeared. Still, she said, "My dream man is on the way." That wasn't all. She became a fashionista overnight, ordering latest outfits online. She kept changing her wardrobe every 2 weeks. Latest makeup kits became her companion. Young women in the church that don't have enough to wear, once they visit her, boom, their wardrobes will become updated because she was not even wearing some of the clothes she was buying. Latest wigs hung everywhere in her bedroom. Rumors had it that one of the young women in church that helps her clean her house opened a salon where she sells expensive wigs, wigs abandoned by Urenna. She soon fell for a smooth talking brother. He told her, "If only I had a business, I could settle down." Desperate, she secretly opened a supermarket for him. She was even introducing people to the supermarket, claiming they sell original things. But just 2 months later, he disappeared. She later heard he sold the shop and used the money to fund his trip abroad. Her heart broke, but she covered her shame with smiles in church. That night, she had a strange dream. She was at the altar in a wedding gown. But as the pastor said, "You may kiss the bride," the groom vanished. The congregation turned into shadows, laughing at her. She woke up in sweat, trembling, but she brushed it aside. When she told her pastor, he said, "Don't worry, sow another seed. The devil is just fighting your marital breakthrough." And she believed him. Determined to silence her shame, she built a house. On dedication day, she danced with tears streaming down. "Church, praise the Lord. God has made me a landlady." But inside she was crying, "Maybe now my husband will come." But instead, more users came. Her house now became a meeting point for young unmarried men, women inclusive. After service, her house will be packed full. She never cared. All she wanted was just for someone to say, "I am interested in you, Urenna." Sister Urenna is generous, everybody keeps saying, but they never knew what was on her mind. After all, her job was paying her well, and she had no responsibility. So why should she complain? If feeding the whole church will bring her dream man, or just any man at all, she was ready to do it. At last, her brother proposed. Wedding plans began. Invitations were printed, clothes sewn, food ordered. But a week before the wedding, he called it off. Rumors spread that another woman was pregnant for him. The humiliation was unbearable. Urenna stayed indoors for weeks, refusing to attend church. One day, news spread through the church that a wealthy man from another congregation had showed interest in Sister Urenna. Excitement buzzed around her. Finally, after all her seed sowing, testimonies, and late night vigils, it looked as if heaven had smiled. But when the matter reached Pastor, his face grew stern. He shook his head and told her plainly, "That man is not God's will for you. He's only here to test your faith. Do not let desperation push you into the wrong hands." Urenna felt the words pierced her chest like a dagger. Tears stung her eyes, but she forced a smile, nodding as if she agreed. Deep inside, however, her heart raged. Later in the pastor's office, she tried to press her case. "Daddy," she pleaded, "please understand, time is not on my side again. How long will I remain in the youth ministry, singing with small boys and girls? Their parents are my mate. What will people say?" Pastor looked at her quietly, his gaze firm, and then leaned back in his chair. "Daughter, calm down. I hear you. If you feel out of place among the youths, then from today, a new ministry will be bettered. We shall call it the Ivory Sisters, for women who have crossed the age of marriage but still believe in God for their testimony." That very Sunday, he announced it in the church, launching the Ivory Sisters ministry. The congregation clapped with excitement, but Urenna's heart sank. Instead of lifting her up, the new ministry only reminded her of the weight she was carrying. Though it silenced her protest, it left her spirit restless, caught between faith and frustration. After months of pouring her energy into church activities, she decided she needed extra help. One morning, she introduced a new face into her life, a tall, handsome young man from the church, newly employed as her personal driver. Her explanation was simple: "I am always weak after work. I can't be driving myself everywhere. Let him handle it." At first, people smiled and thought nothing of it, but soon whispers began to float through the congregation. The young man was not only unmarried, but also striking in appearance. His broad shoulders, youthful charm, and quiet loyalty made him stand out. He opened her doors, carried her bags, and stood outside the church waiting like a personal guard. Her mother noticed the closeness and confronted her. "My daughter, this doesn't look good. People are beginning to talk. Why must it be this particular boy? Is it not too much?" Instead of heeding the warning, she snapped, "Mama, you always see evil where there is none. He is only a driver. Is it now a crime to employ someone younger than me?" Her sharp response silenced her mother, but in the hearts of those who watched, suspicion grew stronger. What began as mere rumors soon became undeniable. The truth was that their relationship went beyond the boundaries of employer and employee. They laughed together like teenagers, whispered in each other's ears during long drives, and sometimes lingered over meals after Sunday service. To many who watched, they looked more like lovebirds than driver and madam. She did not care anymore. After all, she had lived her life trying to please others. Now she convinced herself she had a right to her own happiness. But the scandal burst open one hot afternoon when the young man's girlfriend came to her compound. Crying bitterly, the girl demanded to know why her boyfriend no longer answered her calls or cared about her. Neighbors gathered quickly, expecting a calm explanation. Instead, she exploded. "How dare you come here to challenge me? Is he your husband? Must you control his life? Leave him alone before you regret it." The girl walked away in tears, but the damage was done. Everyone present understood what her anger meant. The gossip that had once been whispered in corners now became bold conversations. The church tried to bury the matter quietly, but the community had already judged. People began to wonder, was her service to God just a disguise for something else? That night, Urenna paused and turned on her bed. Sleep finally came, but it brought no peace. In the dream, she stood before a large mirror in her wedding gown. At first, she smiled, admiring herself, but when she leaned closer, the reflection shifted. The face in the mirror was no longer youthful, it was wrinkled, aged, and tired. She screamed, trying to wipe the glass, but the reflection only grew older. From behind, she heard children laughing, not her own, but Ashley's children calling, Auntie Ure! Auntie Ure! The laughter grew louder, echoing through the hall until she covered her ears and fell to her knees. She woke with a shout, her pillow wet with sweat and tears. For a moment, she sat up, trembling, her heart racing. But as always, she brushed it aside. When the scandal with the young man's girlfriend burst open, the church grew restless. Whispers became bold, and her name was on every lip. That Sunday, she expected Pastor to rise in her defense, to speak of her sacrifices, her offerings, her loyalty to the altar. But he said nothing. He preached about holiness and youthful lust, his eyes sweeping across the congregation, but never once did he mention her name. She sat in the pew, her heart breaking. After all the suits, the shoots, the envelopes, the first fruits, was this my reward? For the first time, she realized she had given and given, yet when her shame came, she was left alone. Ashley visited again, this time with her husband and three children. Their laughter filled the room. The children ran around freely, calling her Auntie Ray, their voices innocent, their joy unrestrained. She forced a smile as she served them food, but each more meal that the children shouted stabbed her heart like a needle. When it was time to leave, Ashley lingered at the door. She held Urenna's hand and looked into her eyes with quiet honesty. Ure, do you remember the day I told you not to wait too long? I said time does not wait for anyone. Look at me now, not because I am better than you, but because I listened when it was time. You are still my sister, but I pray it is not too late for you. Ashley hugged her and left with her family. Their laughter echoed down the street. Urenna locked the door, collapsed on her bed, and wept bitterly. For the first time, she whispered into the silence, Lord, I wasted my time. I missed it. Today, mothers in that church point to her as a warning. Don't be like Urenna. Don't reject every man. Don't let pride, friends, or greedy pastors mislead you. Beauty will fade. Money cannot buy love, and time waits for no one. The stubborn fly follows the corpse into the grave. Urenna's story reminds us that when you ignore wisdom, life itself will teach you, but the lesson may come too late. And so she sits in her fine house, surrounded by gifts and memories. Clothes she never wore still hang in her wardrobe, wigs still sealed in boxes, a car parked in silence, yet no laughter fills the room. No children run through the halls. At night, neighbors say they hear her singing softly, the same choir songs she once sang with pride, but now her voice is heavy, broken, echoing to no one. That is Urena's story. A mansion filled with everything except the one thing her soul longed for.